1963. A man in Turkey takes a sledgehammer to his basement wall. Behind it, a tunnel. His chickens had been vanishing into it. He crawled in. Under his house lay 18 floors of carved rock, 85 meters deep. Room for 20,000 people and their cattle. Nobody knew it was there. Who digs a city for 20,000? And who were they hiding from? By the end, you will know. This is Derinkuyu, not a mine, not a cellar, a city with stables, wineries, churches, a school and a cemetery, all underground. Every level could be sealed from the inside by round stone doors, half a ton each, with no handle on the outside. More than 15,000 ventilation shafts, each about 10 centimeters wide, drove fresh air down as far as the 8th floor. The deepest shaft runs 55 meters and doubles as a well. Some wells never reached the surface, so nobody above could poison them. Everything here was built around one idea: someone is coming, and an entire town has to disappear for weeks. Archaeologists cannot agree who cut the first floor or when. The two leading dates sit more than 2,000 years apart. Start with the rock. Volcanic eruptions buried this plateau in ash, and the ash hardened into a stone called tuff. Tuff is soft enough to carve with iron hand tools, and it hardens when air hits the fresh cut. The ceiling holds itself up. So the builders did not build, they subtracted. Every room here is a hole where rock used to be, hauled out basket by basket. Here's the first quiet problem. Move that much stone and you leave rubble above ground, right where an enemy would see it. The entrances answer that. They open inside courtyards and stables of ordinary houses. From above, Derinkuyu looks like a dusty farming town. Go down one floor and you are in the stables. Livestock stayed near the top. Less smell, less wasted air, faster to load. Below that, kitchens with blackened ceilings, wine and oil presses cut from the floor, and storage rooms for grain that had to last months. Deeper still, sleeping quarters, a school with a barrel-vaulted ceiling, a chapel shaped like a cross, and rooms cut for the dead. Now the doors. Round discs of stone, up to half a ton, rolled across the passage from one side only, the inside. Each has a hole through the center. Some say it was a lever socket. Others say you put a spear through it. The corridors are the real weapon. Narrow, low, and cut so you walk bent over, single file, with your weapon arm against the wall. An army of thousands loses its advantage. Underground, 20 attackers arrive one at a time, in the dark, into a room they cannot see. And the ventilation is not just for breathing, it is a heat and smoke system. Cooking fires below, air pulled through 15,000 chimneys. Soft rock explains how. It does not explain who. And on that question, the written record is almost completely blank. There are no foundation stones to date, no inscriptions on the walls, and no dated layers. You cannot carbon date a hole. Worse, each generation cleaned it out and cut it deeper. The evidence of the first builders was carried away by the second. So archaeologists argue. Candidate 1, the Hittites, around 2,000 years before Christ, digging the first shallow rooms as storage and shelter. Candidate 2, and the official Turkish position, the Phrygians, in the 8th or 7th century before Christ, the best builders in Anatolia. Candidate 3, nobody special. Local Christians in the first centuries after Christ, cutting a hiding place and expanding it for 800 years. The oldest written clue is not Turkish or Hittite. It is Greek, written by a soldier walking home from a lost war. Around 370 before Christ, Xenophon describes Anatolian houses cut underground, with mouths like a well, wide below, reached by a ladder. Inside, he writes, were goats, sheep, cattle, and birds, and the animals were raised down there on fodder. That is Derinkuyu's top floor. Careful though, Xenophon was marching through Armenia, hundreds of kilometers east. He proves the habit existed. He does not prove this city did. What we can date is the finishing work. Crosses, chapels, a baptismal font, a cross-shaped church on one of the lowest floors. That is Byzantine work, and it tells you the city reached its final form when Christians in Cappadocia had a very specific enemy. A hiding place is a portrait of a fear. Show me what a city survives, and I'll tell you who lived in it. Derinkuyu could survive a siege of weeks, not a battle of hours. Food for months, water they controlled, doors only they could open. So who arrived every summer for 400 years and made 20,000 people climb down 18 floors into the dark? From the late 700s to the late 1100s, Arab and Byzantine armies fought across this plateau almost every campaign season. Cappadocia sat on the road between them, not a battlefield, a corridor. Raiding columns passed through, took what they wanted, and moved on. You cannot fortify a farming village against a professional army, but you can make the village empty by the time that army arrives. That is the whole design. Watchers on the ridge, a few hours warning, then a town walks into its own floor and closes the stone. Now imagine being down there. No sunlight, air arriving through a 10-centimeter pipe. Every lamp you light is eating the oxygen you brought. 20,000 people, their cattle, their sheep, their wine, and their dead, stacked in 18 floors of rock with no windows. The rock keeps a steady temperature all year, so the wine kept, the grain kept, and nobody froze in a Cappadocian winter. The wells are the part that impresses engineers. Some were sealed off from the surface, so an attacker above could not poison the water. And there is an exit. A tunnel runs 8 to 9 kilometers to Kaymakli, the next underground city, an escape route between hiding places. Because Derinkuyu is not alone, Cappadocia holds hundreds of underground dwellings, and about 40 of them have at least 2 full levels. This was a network, a region that could put its entire population underground and connect it below the surface, city to city. The raids ended. The Mongols came in the 1300s. The Ottomans took the region, and people kept using the tunnels anyway. Greek-speaking Christians lived here into the 20th century, calling the town Malakopia, meaning soft, after the stone. They knew every door. And then, in a single year, every person who knew the way down left the country. The city did not collapse. It was forgotten. 1923. Turkey and Greece agree to exchange their minorities. The Christians of Derinkuyu board trains for a country they have never seen. They took the knowledge with them. New families moved into the same houses, lived on the same floors, and had no reason to look down. 40 years later, one man, one wall, one sledgehammer. The city opened to visitors in 1969. About half of it is still closed. So that's the answer. No lost civilization built Derinkuyu. It was cut, abandoned, and cut deeper by everyone who was ever afraid here. And now the twist. In 2013, 25 kilometers away, bulldozers clearing old homes in Nevşehir broke into tunnels nobody had mapped. Surveys suggest 460,000 square meters, 113 meters down, possibly a third larger than Derinkuyu, still being mapped. So the largest underground city on Earth may not be the one you can buy a ticket for. And again, it was found by accident. Derinkuyu is a mountain of stone removed. Next, the opposite, 2.3 million blocks stacked up on a deadline that doesn't add up. Subscribe if you like your wonders with the numbers checked and the disagreements left in. That's the whole channel.